This is a 1989 Toyota TroopCarrier with Toyota 3F engine. It's got a problem where something is wrong with the timing gear. So when you crank the engine, it simply spins without any compression, so losing compression to all of the cylinder. And upon checking, here I have top dead center. You can just feel using by poking a stick, and you can see that the valve's actually tight in the intake. So there are two types of TTC. This is actually a compression TTC, not the exhaust TTC or top dead center, and clearly the timing is off. The timing gear is located in this area. So to change that timing gear, we need to remove radiator, remove AC evaporator, or I don't know what's it called, condenser, and basically took out the timing gear and timing cam. So first, just remove the Toyota grill. There are 6 Phillips head screw. Next, drain the radiator while we're taking off a lot of these parts. Remove the radiator reservoir, just 2 number 12 bolts. Remove top radiator hose. Disconnect the radiator fence rod so that we can pull it back and we can pull the radiator up. There are a few 12mm bolts. Use extension for the 2 12mm bolts on the left side of the engine. Now the fence rod can be separated from the radiator. Next is to take out this radiator. So we have removed this part. You need to remove the lower hose. To remove the radiator, take out 1, 2, 3, 4 12mm bolts. Seems you also need to take this rubber mounting mechanism. I ended up removing the bracket that sits here just to make it easier also on that side. Now that the radiator is out, we can have a good clean and even paint it a bit. So that is what it looks like behind the radiator. We need to get to the timing gear, which is in this area. Take out the shroud. So a good tip is to keep everything categorized and put a sequence number on it, so when you put everything back, you just reverse the sequence. Also, good practice to put everything in the back of the car so it doesn't get in the way and doesn't get lost. Next, take out the fan. There are 4 10mm bolts, quite easy. Put back the nuts so it's easier to locate. Inspect the fan. I can see a few cracks on mine. Might be time to replace it while we're here. Next, remove all the rubber belt. There are 3 belts. The first one is power steering, second one is alternator, and the third one is air conditioner. Mark them so it's easier later on when putting them back. To remove, just loosen the power steering, 2 bolts, and then take out the belt. Loosen this adjustment bolt for alternator and then take out the belt. And there is a pulley here for the air conditioner. Loosen it and take out the belt. Should be quite simple. So the power steering and alternator belts are very easy to take out, but the air conditioner is not as easy. It's still tight, although I've taken out the pulley, so I'm not sure why. Might be that I need to loosen the compressor a bit. Just need to find out how, and not to worry at this stage. Remove the top brace, 4 bolts, and disconnect the horns. Remove the lower section of the panel, so 5 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the bottom. Next we need to take out this air conditioner part so that we can remove the cam later on. My air conditioner hasn't got gas, so it's quite easy. Just remove 1 and 2 connectors, otherwise the gas needs to be safely recovered or purged. Then just remove a few 10mm bolts on the sides. In the FJ75, it seems like the front panel assembly for the headlight needs to be removed as well, because if we pull the camshaft, which is about 70 centimeters, it would hit this assembly. So it means this AC lines needs to be removed, and then just a matter of 12mm bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or around that. Also need to disconnect the lamp wiring, which is easy. I found out that there is seam sealer here, which can be easily broken off on both sides, and also at the bottom here. But also this part is held by this bolt, which goes all the way down to the chassis, so need to remove this too as well. The lights need to be taken out to remove the mounting bolt to the chassis. You can see the simple mechanism, just 2 bolts and a spring. Once the light and the bolts are removed, you can just pull the light panel forward. Remember that this is holding the hood, so move the hood and just lay it down on the windscreen, or move this somewhere. So I simply relocated the lever temporarily, and just for safety, just wet something so it doesn't come loose when you're working on the engine. Now the whole light assembly can just be taken out. Remember, you have all this horn cable and the hood release mechanism. Just remove them. Protect all the air conditioner hoses so that no dirt can get in. At this stage I have full access to the pulleys and able to take out the camshaft. One thing I'm not really sure at the moment is whether I need to take this bull bar due to the length of the camshaft, but since I was planning to paint the bull bar, I might just take it out. It's just an ARB Deluxe, quite simple, about 5 bolts on each side, and it should be very easily removed. Can be quite heavy, might need a help. I decided to remove the pull bar so that it can be painted later on while we're at it. Next, remove the rear base plate so that we can have access even more to the engine and pulleys. I've decided to remove the pull bar so it can be painted later on while we're on it. Next is to remove the rear base plate here, just 4 bolts to gain even more access. Now we work at the actual engine. Remove the 6 pulley bolt or power steering pulley bolt. Remove the pulley. Using 46mm socket, turn the crankshaft and make sure that you have top dead center at the back of the housing. It's hard to see. It's right there. And as you can see, that's the TTC or the compression TTC, and you can see that the exhaust valve is loose but the intake valve is tight, so that's the problem with the timing. Using impact hammer and pulley holder, strike the crankshaft nut to loosen it. Set up the harmonic balancer puller and then pull the flywheel. Just bought this for about $50 from Sydney Tools. Clean the crankshaft and remove the bolts on the cover. They are different, so mark them. So after taking out the cover, we can see what the problem is. The timings are aligned and it is top dead center. However, the valves do not open. So what happened is this mating between timing gear and the camshaft has slipped. In fact, if I put in the replacement gear and put it against the key, so that's the same key, the timing mark is about 35 to 40 degrees out, so it should be mating like that. So the fact that this is a non-interference engine is very lucky, because otherwise we would have destroyed the engine with this situation. So next is just to replace the whole timing gear, which slipped, and it should be good. Remove the what do you call it, the valve assembly as per shop manual. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to avoid bending. Remove the whole valve assembly and make sure you keep them in its correct order. Take out all the push rod and number them accordingly. Next, remove the distributor. Take out this hose first. remember or number the leads and the distributor sequence. It's actually got a number already on the top, on the cap, which is 153624. You might want to also mark the position between the cap and the base. Take out this connector from the distributor and then remove the 12mm bolt. There is not enough space to gain access to the 12mm bolt, so you need to take out the oil filter. Block the hole so nothing can come into it. Open the valve lifter cover, 12 of 10mm bolts. Take out the push rod cover by removing the all tip stick check and sliding it towards the back and then up. It is actually quite hard to get the lifter out. Follow the instruction in the service manual. We're just supposed to lift it using a piece of wire, but definitely it is very smooth when it's down, but once you pull it up, it sort of stuck. So what I've done is I got this plier and I try to lift as much as possible. As you can see, none of this would come out, but hopefully some of them will have clearance to let the cam out. Next, remove the two holder bolts for the timing gear. So in fact the valve lifters are quite difficult to take out, so I used a motorcycle brake caliper puller. It can expand and then I can pull the valve lifters up, and because I do not need to take them out, I'll just lift them enough to gain clearance for the camshaft. Next, remove the fuel pump. Remove the two 12mm bolt and mark the hose as rear, middle and front just to make it easier. Pull out the cams carefully and inspect the condition of the bearing. So for 500,000 kilometers, it looks like a very good condition cam. Measure the thrust clearance. It should be 0.2 to 0.29 as per spec. Remove the circlip and then press the camshaft out of the old timing gear using a shop press. It's only about $150 in super cheap. Take note of the concave section that the clip should be oriented when putting it back, so it should be sort of pointing up. Press the old timing gear out using 19mm socket. Make sure you press against the thrust washers and not the actual timing or cam. Now that we've taken the old timing gear out, we can confirm the issue. So as you can see, the keyway to the camshaft are both pointing down, but the timing mark on the old timing gear is very different. It's almost 90 degrees different. So what happened was this part has slipped, but not slip enough to actually permanently loose. So we're going to now install the new timing gear. This old timing gear has been in the car about 500,000 kilometers, so maybe next preventive maintenance is just to replace this timing gear around 300,000 or 400,000. Now we need to press the new timing gear. Make sure it's oriented in the correct side, so the timing mark is outside. Use a 36mm 12-point socket and make sure to press on the bearing part, not thrust washer or cams. So need to be correctly mounted, so when it presses, the timing gear will drop in. Install the clip and make sure to have the orientation as per service manual. Check the thrust washer clearance, should be between 0.2 and 0.29 millimeters. Install the cam with the new timing gear and make sure that the timing marks align. Install the oil nozzle and make sure that it points to this direction. Install the push rods and the valve assembly. As per shop manual, tighten by the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The smaller bolt is 24 Newton meters. The bigger bolt is 33 Newton meters. Note here that when we initially install the camshaft and match the mark to the gear, the valve assembly should have cylinder 6 as TDC compression as per shop manual. So when we then turn 360 degrees and this timing mark goes here, the cylinder 1 becomes top dead center, and then we can follow the instruction to adjust the necessary backlash. We turn it once more and then second pass as per shop manual. Next, adjust the valves as per the shop manual. So put number 1 into TDC compression, and because we are adjusting cold as opposed to the required hot settings, I will add 0.05 millimeter. So instead of 0.2 millimeter intake, I will do 0.25, and instead of 0.35 millimeter exhaust, I will do 0.4, and later on I will readjust when the engine is hot as per factory manual. Put new gasket for the mechanical fuel pump and install into the engine. Now we install the distributor. There are a few steps to follow. First, find the top dead center and make sure it is the top dead center for compression and not exhaust. You can confirm by checking the number 1 cylinder all loose and number 6 cylinder all tight. Next, set the oil pump direction for about 30 degrees. There is a slot which you can move by using a screwdriver. Make sure to check that your distributor is not the one with the octane selector. If that's the case, then align the distributor with the vacuum this way and move the pointer to cylinder number 3. So according to the manual, when this is dropped, the point will go through the worm gear and move to cylinder number 4. So as I'm dropping this, the cylinder will move, and if it's correct, it should go to the slot. It might take a few goes. When it drops, you can feel that the distributor cannot move anymore, and the distributor body can still move. So now we just need to approximately time it. Make sure that one electrical connector is connected, and also one vacuum advancer line. Put back the distributor cap, and if you notice, the point is pointing to number 1, so this is correct. Now we are installing the timing cover. Put new seal in the timing cover. The timing cover using new gasket. Install the timing cover. Note that the bolts are of different size, so follow the service manual. Note that the bigger bolt needs liquid sealer to avoid leaks. Do not torque the timing cover yet, and make sure it can move freely. The reason is when we install the harmonic balancer, it needs to be centered. Inspect the condition of the harmonic balancer, and in my case the seal has created a groove, so you can either sleeve it, or in my case I just replace it using this Power Bond brand. It's quite popular, so it's brand new. For 3F, this is the model. Insert the harmonic balancer and make sure it aligns to the key, and then tap lightly into position. Put the car in 5th gear and engage the handbrake, then torque lightly the crankshaft bolt. So now this is centered, and we can torque according to the service manual, the timing cover. The torque specification for 3F pulley nut is 343 Newton meters, but because I put Loctite, I deduct about 5 to 10% to compensate. You will need a larger torque wrench. Mine is able to do 350 Newton meters. Because I put Loctite on the nut, the wet torque, I just torque it up to 320 Newton meter. And to do that, I do not even need to use the brace. I just put in 5th gear, engage the handbrake, and the engine locks up, so it was actually quite easy to do. Install the crankshaft pulley bolts and torque to 18 Newton meters in a star configuration. Install and tighten all the belts.